That was my reaction. Pretty sure that was the reaction of the entire world. Watching WWE RAW, Monday Night Raw, especially the beginning of Monday Night Raw and the end of Monday Night Raw. And I'm just going to get right down to those parts. Great wrestling storytelling is supposed to evoke great emotion. See a great match, you get excited. Jump on Twitter. That was a phenomenal matchup. 4-star match, 5-star match, whatever. You see a great storyline, you get emotionally invested into it, whether you're hurt or whatever. See a bad match or bad storyline, you get upset, you get mad. You get mad at creative, you get mad at whomever for the bad storyline. You see a emotionally gripping storyline, and it evokes every emotion possible. Pain, sadness, intrigue, and at the same time, happiness as well. And I'm about to get into all of that, why just every single emotion went through me with that Dean Ambrose heel turn. And first we're going to get into Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns comes down, and I have my reaction video on YouTube, and I'm watching it. Roman Reigns coming down this gold chain, and he's coming down, he's milking up with the crowd, and I'm giving Roman Reigns business. Like, he got on this gold chain. I'm like, come on, Roman, bro, stop milking it up. Just say something already. And the whole time I didn't understand that the man was just trying to compose himself for what was about to be the biggest announcement of his career. And Roman Reigns is he's talking about how he can't defend the belt. And I'm like, yeah, you hadn't defended that thing in a long time. And the man says he has leukemia. And like, my heart just dropped. It was like, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And the man said that, he's had leukemia before. He's fought it before. He's beaten it before. And I was shocked by that. I never knew that he went through that. And it was just tough to get through. It was tough to watch. And I the courage of Roman Reigns just to come out and just say it publicly and to give others that are fighting through this something to look at, something to look up to say that, what, I can beat it too, is just phenomenal on his part, and I commend him for that. And I think I speak for everybody when I say, go get him, Roman. Go knock it out. Because Roman is going to fight through this, and no matter what the differences that I've had before of, creative with Roman Reigns, the booking or whatever, this is real life. This is a real life situation. And, I'm wishing the best for the guy. And I hope he comes back stronger than ever. So, throughout that, I was emotionally spent after Roman Reigns. After that, I didn't really want to get into the rest of the show. And then right when I thought that, what, there's nothing else in this show that can really pick me up or, shock me any more than what Roman Reigns did. Dean Ambrose comes out of nowhere. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's one of the greatest heel turns of all time. I'm not going to sit here and just compare it to any other heel turn, but I will say that it is one of the most emotional heel turns that I've seen in the 2010s. 2010 to 2018, I'm going to keep it in its era. It's one of the most emotional heel turns that I've ever seen in my of the 2010s. I'm not going to say my entire life. And as for Seth and Dean, I'm thinking to myself, okay, Seth and Dean has to win the tag titles here. I know the people that love Roman. I know the people that love the Shield. They need a real pick-me-up. And I personally thought that, what, They should keep the titles on Dolph and Drew, and you know what? AOP should get the titles after this, but you know, some things are bigger than wrestling. So Seth and Dean won, and I was like, okay, awesome. You know, I had my phone, and I'm going to tweet something like, you know what? I'm happy to see Seth and Dean win. And I'm tweeting something, and I hear the roar of the crowd. I just hear the roar, and I pick my head up, and Dean is in the middle of giving Seth Rollins the dirty deeds. And you see that go down, and it's like, oh my God. They didn't just do that. And I just had a shocked look on my face for a good 5 minutes as Dean waylaid Seth. He beat the crap out of Seth Rollins. And when I say it was a heel turn, a beat down, it was a beat down of epic proportions. Not with a chair. He didn't need any of that. He just beat him down with his fist. And it was so well done. At the moment, I'm thinking, right as it happened and right as things are going down, you can see the Dean just played it so well. He looked like he was so, you know, emotionally conflicted to do this to Seth Rollins. You can see it in his eyes. He did it greatly. At the moment, I'm thinking, okay, you know, Roman just had that announcement. You know, people, fans of Roman, fans of The Shield, they really need to pick me up. Is this the right time? I'm thinking to myself. And right in the middle of the beatdown, I immediately answered my question and said, it's the perfect time. Because, for one, the most important thing, I would have to think that Roman okayed this. Like, I would have to think that, you know, they went over it with Roman and Roman was like, you know what, it's cool. So, looking at it from there, this was the last opportunity to turn Dean Ambrose heel. If they were going to go down this route, they were going to go down this line of thinking. This was the last opportunity that they had. Because they had run the Dean Ambrose, the Shield friction into the ground. They had run it into the ground. And the last possible moment for people to get emotionally hooked into something was Monday night. Because we were all hooked into Roman Reigns. We're all hooked into that guy. And we all wanted the best for him. And we were well on our way to a happy moment with the Shield. And like out of nowhere, Dean turns heel. And you can see the faces of the crowd. The crowd had the same reaction that I did. You had people with their hands on their heads. People were just like, what's going on here? You know what? It reminded me of my emotion when Hogan turned heel at Bash at the Beach. Like, I'm not comparing it to Hogan, but when Hogan turned heel, I was like, okay, at 10 years old or whatever, I was like, okay, I know there's some things that are supposed to happen in wrestling. Okay, wrestling is scripted, but there are just some things that are not supposed to happen in wrestling. And that's one of them. Hulk Hogan badmouthing the crowd. That's one of them. And I know there are a lot of Shield fans that are thinking, okay, man, there are some things that are not supposed to happen in wrestling. Roman announcing that he has leukemia, and we're seeing our brothers break up right at the seam. Seth just lost both his brothers in WWE, and it's like, I know there are fans are thinking like, no, not this time, not this night. And I will say this to the Shield fans, to the Roman fans, to the Dean fans, to the Seth fans. I know it's tough in the moment, but trust me, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you're going to look back on this night and say that it was one of the most intriguing nights of your wrestling fandom. Because Dean Ambrose turning heel is one of the most emotional heel turns of the 2010s. It's the most emotional heel turn of the 2010s, arguably. And it's a huge moment. And just think about the storyline. And I'm broadcasting on Periscope right now. I see somebody that said, best thing to happen to this business. It is a fantastic thing. Because one, you have the heel heat for Dean Ambrose. People are going to hate Dean Ambrose. That's a good thing. And the better thing out of all of this is people are going to love Seth Rollins. And like, people are going to love Seth Rollins. And I just think that them getting behind Seth Rollins and getting behind the Dean Ambrose feud is just phenomenal. Because we're going to have that for the Intercontinental title. The Intercontinental title is going to get elevated again. We got Braun and Drew going on. Hopefully Braun wins the Universal title. And that's going to get going. And we have Seth versus Dean. It's going to be a very emotional storyline. And I'm looking forward to Seth and Dean going at it. And, like, I'm just looking forward to it. It was just so well done. So I'm going to get into the actual Raw review. And I just want to get those things out of the way because I know that's what you're here for. I know you're here to hear my thoughts on the Shield. And one of my thoughts and my prayers are with Roman Reigns. And I just hope the guy makes it out of it. And I'm wishing the best for the guy. 110%. I wish the best for that guy. I have my differences as it pertains to Roman Reigns and storylines or whatever. But I'm going to cheer for the guy. I hope the guy the best when he comes back. He's going to beat leukemia. He beat it before. And he's going to beat it again. I'm wishing the best for that guy. So, Bobby Lashley versus Finn Balor. We started off, and I got to say that once we got to Bobby Lashley versus Finn Balor, I could barely get into the match because, like, my thoughts were on Roman Reigns. Like, my thoughts were on Roman Reigns. My thoughts were on his family. Like, I just wish the best for the guy. And, like, I'm trying to get into this match. I could barely get into it. But it was that Roman Reigns and Finn Balor had some good action. I loved it. And, Leo Rush. Like, goodness. Somebody take the mic from that guy. Lashley. Like, my goodness. I need earplugs when I watch Bobby Lashley, when I watch a Bobby Lashley match. Like, at this point, just goodness. And maybe Leo Rush is doing a good job. He's doing a good job. I hate him. So maybe he's doing his job well. This was a decent enough match for the time that they gave him. I gotta say that I'm very surprised that Finn Balor got the win here. And, like, Bobby Lashley is built up into a heel, and they're working with his momentum. They're building him up with Leo Rush. And I'm very surprised that Finn Balor got the win. However, I gotta say that it was well done. Finn Balor got the fluke roll up. And I'm pretty sure we'll see this feud go on. We'll see Bobby Lashley get his heat back. We'll see Bobby Lashley beat Finn Balor down. We'll see him get a win back. Finn Balor gets a fluke roll up. All parties look good in my estimation. Finn Balor gets a win. There's nothing wrong with that. We love that. That match actually goes into the good category for me. After that, Dolph and Drew was backstage. They talked about Braun Strowman and how Braun Strowman needed them. And Drew said that he was going monster hunting. This is a very quick segment. It goes into the good category, however. Ruby Riott versus Sasha Banks was up next. And this is the build for Evolution. And I gotta say that, if I'm being fair here, the build for Evolution, I was looking for a whole lot on the go-home show of Monday Night Raw. And the build for Evolution was just horrible. It was just lazy. Like, you can't put any more effort into the ladies. Like, the ladies deserve better. Evolution could have been so much more than it was, or than it is, or than it will be. Because I feel that the build has just been so lazy. You got Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Natalya versus the Riot Squad at Evolution. And, like, really? That's the match that we're going to get at Evolution? We could have had Sasha Banks versus Bayley. We could have had Sasha Banks versus anybody. Sasha Banks versus Lita. Bayley versus Lita. We could have had anything. We could have had the Riot Squad, 2 members of the Riot Squad versus Lay Cool. Or we could have got creative, very creative with this Evolution build. But we just have not gotten creative. I'll get to that more later on in the show. But this was a decent match at best. We had some good action back and forth. Sasha Banks and Ruby Riott worked really well. But I did not like the finish. We had Bayley getting involved. We had Sasha getting into it with the rest of the members of the Riot Squad. We had the distraction finish as well. I did not like the distraction finishes. Ruby Riott picked up the win with the Riot Kick, and I guess this is one of the segments that isn't necessarily good, isn't necessarily bad in the average, but I don't do average when it comes to the good and bad. So this was closer to bad than it was good, so it goes into the bad category. So that was the build toward Evolution, and I gotta say that I do not like the build toward Evolution. So after that, we had Triple H and Shawn Michaels come down. We had to build toward Crown Jewel, and these are two 50-year-old guys. And they're still trying to beat the bandwagon of we're back. So they went and they talked about fear. Talked about how they don't have fear. They won't be cutting promos, getting at lunch hour. They're not running for mayor like Kane is. And Shawn Michaels talked about nostalgia. Talked about how that was just a polite way of saying old. And Triple H said that, okay, well, Halloween, a movie that came out so many years ago, it's #1 in the box office. And they are really trying to justify their nostalgia. And they're taking up time from talent by saying Halloween is #1 in the box office. Guess what, Trips? Old guys aren't #1 in the box office in wrestling anymore. So you can't just relate that to Halloween and think that it's going to get over with the majority of people that are watching. Trust me, the people in the crowd, the live crowd always loves DX. You know, that is what it is. It's two old guys taking up time. So we got the special effects, and The Undertaker appeared. We got the gong. The Undertaker appeared on the screen. Him and Kane appeared on the screen. Talked about how it was going to be DX's last match. How they were going to bury them. And I just cannot get emotionally invested into this match because it's 4 50-year-old guys. And what are we fighting for here? War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. We have 4 50-year-old guys going at it. DX, Undertaker, and Kane, they're going at it. And for what? For absolutely nothing. So I didn't enjoy this segment. They can do whatever they please to try to get us hyped up for Crown Jewel. I mean, I'm just not excited for it at all. I just did not feel this segment at all whatsoever. This one goes into the bad category. DX, Undertaker and Kane, yeah, this one goes into the bad category. They are trying to build up into Crown Jewel. So after that, we had Paul Heyman come down. And Paul Heyman comes into the ring and he gives a heartfelt promo about Roman Reigns. Talks about how Roman Reigns is a champion to us all, and he is. Talking about how Roman Reigns is going to fight through this. And it was really a heartfelt promo. I thought that Paul Heyman was going to go jump toward the family because obviously Paul Heyman is tight with Roman Reigns, his family, tight with his dads and his uncles, his whole family. And he didn't go there, but it was still a heartfelt promo that I very much enjoyed from top to bottom. And he actually worked that thing going forward into the build for Crown Jewel. So I enjoyed that as well. He talked about how Braun Strowman wasn't even in Brock Lesnar's category, wasn't even in his stratosphere. So I enjoyed that. Paul Heyman worked that over really well. And eventually I'm watching that and I'm like, okay, Braun Strowman has to interrupt this, right? So Braun Strowman interrupts it, said that he was going to destroy Brock Lesnar, said that after Roman Reigns was done with leukemia, said that he was going to be the first in line for a title shot. I enjoyed that as well. And face Braun Strowman. I'm digging it. Look, I'm willing to overlook the craziness of the Braun Strowman heel turn if everybody else is willing to overlook it. If WWE is just going to overlook it, then fine. I'll overlook it too. I'll give him a pass. So, right as Braun Strowman is coming down the ringside, Drew McIntyre seemingly comes out of nowhere with the Claymore kick. I enjoyed that as well. That kept Drew McIntyre, the feud with Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman, that kept that going. And I enjoyed every bit of this segment. It definitely goes into the good category for me. Very well done. And I enjoyed it very much. So after that, we had Elias come down, and can we get something going with Elias? At this point, we had no kind of involvement going with Elias, no kind of progression going with Elias at this point. We had another Apollo Crews sighting. He interrupted Elias again. So it was like, really, this again? And this match was the same as last week. Nothing going for this match at all. Nothing whatsoever. And Elias actually picked up the victory here. And this one goes to the bad category because there was nothing going on in this match. The crowd wasn't emotionally invested into it. They had no interest into it. I had no interest into it as well because we just saw this last week. Elias versus Apollo Crews. We just saw it last week. And it's just the same old with Elias. Just moving on with no investment, any type of involvement whatsoever going forward. But we would have some storyline development after this. We came off a commercial break. Elias is on the rampway. He's ready to sing another song. The crowd is right with him. And surprise, surprise, Baron Corbin comes out and says that we need to keep the show moving. Elias, you need to go away. So Elias does go away. He comes back, however, and gives an El Cabron guitar shot to Baron Corbin. And I think we just saw the Elias face turn. The crowd went crazy for it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. Look, the crowd already loves Elias as it is. So if this is a face turn, you know what? I'm with it. Let's go with it. I enjoyed that segment. That one goes into the good category. Afterwards, Kurt Angle cut a promo on WWE Crown Jewel, cut a promo on the WWE World Cup. He put over all of the competitors in the match. I thought it was well done. Talked about how he was ready for it, how he wasn't what he was, but he's ready for the WWE World Cup. This one definitely goes into the good category for me. I enjoyed that very much. And moving on, we had Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey. We had the contract signing. And this was interesting. Ronda Rousey came down. That brought down the Bella Twins. And the Bella Twins would not get into the ring because they were afraid of Ronda Rousey. Didn't know if she would knock them out on Monday Night Raw. So Ronda Rousey said that they had her word. She wouldn't do anything to jeopardize the match. So the Bellas got into the ring and they got to talking about Ronda Rousey's mother. Ronda Rousey said that if her mother knew that she got beat down by the Bellas, she would be ashamed. And that kind of just buried the match right then and there. That was a small burial of the match, but it is what it is. Nikki Bella said that Ronda Rousey promised her mother that she would go undefeated in the UFC, didn't do it. She promised her mother that she would win at the Olympics. If you don't know, Ronda Rousey got the bronze in judo, which is a hell of a accomplishment still, but she didn't win. So in this promo, they were trying to go for the realism that they went for last week, and it just didn't connect for me like it did last week. I just didn't enjoy this segment. It goes into the bad for me. And at the end of the segment, Nikki Bella slaps Ronda Rousey. She doesn't fall for it. Said that she would end her at WWE Evolution. And she skedaddled out of the ring smiling. And I just didn't enjoy this segment. They went for the realism that they did last week, and it just did not connect with me like it did last week when Ronda Rousey went at Nikki Bella and just did not connect. So, Seth and Dean were backstage. They talked about how they were going to do it for Roman. Dean talked about how he was going to do what he always did in these situations. Seth grabbed the mic, said that they were going to do it for Roman. So at that point, I'm like, okay, all right, look, here we go. It's going to be a phenomenal match. You know, it's going to be an emotionally invested match. Little did I know what was going to happen. So that was just a slight interview backstage. Neither of those quick interviews goes into the good or bad. So after that, we had Nia Jax versus Dana Brooke versus Tamina versus Ember Moon, and more lazy build toward Evolution. This was lazy build toward Evolution as it pertains to the Battle Royal. They just threw a bunch of names in those Battle Royals, in that Battle Royal, excuse me. And it's like, okay, you're supposed to get invested into this. No, I can't get invested into this. I'm sorry. I can't get invested into it whatsoever. So the only noteworthy thing to happen to this match was that Ember Moon hit the Eclipse for the win. And, like, really? This is the build for Evolution? This is what I'm supposed to get invested into? Like, I can't get invested into it because I cannot get my mind off of the so many more things that you could have done with Evolution, that you could have done with the Ember Moon. So many people that you could have brought back that would have been slamming, that would have made a phenomenal match with Ember Moon, and the likes of others as well. So this one goes into the bad category. The match goes into the bad category. The build for Evolution goes into the bad category as well when it comes to this. We had the Susan G. Komen segment. That one goes to the good category. I love it every week. And it is just phenomenally done by WWE every week. Titus did a phenomenal job. So Trish and Lita were backstage. They had a backstage interview. But something noteworthy happened out of this. We had ourselves a brawl between Trish, Lita, Mickey, and Alicia Fox. Brawl broke out, and I like the fact that after the brawl, it looked like Mickey and Alicia Fox won the brawl. They got up, they wanted to do their interview, they wanted to talk their trash, and then Trish and Lita came out of nowhere and knocked them out. I enjoyed this segment, actually. We have the rumors going around that Alexa Bliss, may not make it for Evolution. She suffered a concussion over this past weekend, and her status is up in the air. As for Evolution, that would be a huge loss. But this segment I enjoyed. It goes into the good category. So after that, we had the tag team title main event. We had Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. This was an absolute banger. Obviously, you knew it would be an absolute banger. And, you know, obviously, I'm looking at this match and I'm like, okay, this has to be the last match that they have because, I mean, we've seen this so many of these matches. It needs to be over. Little did I know it would be over because of a certain somebody. So we had a phenomenal match. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, they have phenomenal chemistry. Great chemistry. I love every bit of it. We had some phenomenal spots in this match. The frog splash that Seth Rollins hit and the suicide dive that Dean Ambrose hit thereafter, it was just phenomenal. And the crowd was just on their feet for it. Another phenomenal spot in the match was the superplex from the top rope and the Falcon Arrow. The crowd always bites for that. Always gets a quick near fall from Seth Rollins. And at this point, after Seth Rollins got the near fall, I'm like, okay, the Shield has to win here. Look, Roman Reigns announced he had leukemia. The Shield has to win here. They have to, like I said earlier in this review, I'm like, okay, Shield fans, Roman fans, they need to pick me up. And, like, let's give it to him. So, Dean Dolph Ziggler hits the zigzag for 2. It looked like the match was over there, but it wasn't. Dolph Ziggler hits the zigzag for 2. And Braun Strowman comes rumbling out of nowhere, seemingly. He brawls with Drew McIntyre backstage. I loved every bit of that because normally I don't like interferences, but this kept Drew McIntyre protected. This kept the feud with Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre going. They brawled to the back. I loved it. And afterwards, Seth and Dean pick up the victory. Crowd goes wild. This match goes into the good category. And it was just a phenomenal match. I loved every bit of it. And obviously, you've already heard my thoughts on the Dean Ambrose heel turn. Just the moment. It's just something that goes etched into my wrestling memory for the rest of time. And for this era, just one of the top moments of this era. To see Dean Ambrose with that heel turn, and just to see the looks of the crowd, the looks on their faces. They had the same looks that I had on my face. You can go to my YouTube page. Well, I didn't react to the Dean Ambrose heel turn live. But the look on my face was just, what? I was just shocked. I just typed on Twitter, oh my God. And it was just a shocking moment. And, like, you see these things, and it's like, there are just few things. I'm very much in my wrestling fandom, close to 30 years now, to where wrestling just doesn't catch me off guard anymore. Wrestling doesn't get me that much invested like it used to anymore. But I cherish the moments that do get me incredibly invested. And these are one of the moments. Dean Ambrose turning heel was one of those moments. I'll never forget it. Dean Ambrose ripping off that Shield shirt and giving the dirty deeds to Seth Rollins on the floor. He ripped up the mat on the concrete floor. And you see the image of Dean Ambrose exiting through the crowd. And there's that lasting image of just Seth on the ground by himself. No Roman, no Dean. Just poor Seth just on the ground by himself. And it is just a lasting image that I will never forget for as long as I live as a wrestling fan. And these are the reasons why we still watch Monday Night Raw. Why I still review Monday Night Raw. I complain about it, and there are people that say, well, why watch then? Turn off the TV. If I was to turn off that TV, I would have never seen that moment. And like I said, these are the reasons why we watch. Because we complain every week, but there are just some times where things happen in wrestling to where you're like, okay, I'm glad I didn't turn off the TV for that. Because I never would have saw it. And these were one of those moments, and I enjoyed every bit of it. So that is my WWE RAW review. Let me know what you thought about the Dean Ambrose heel turn, Roman Reigns' announcement, whether it's on Periscope, or whether it's on YouTube, at OMG Corey B, Periscope, at 2SweetPod, on Twitter, at OMG Corey B, or at 2SweetPod. Let me know what you thought of WWE RAW and Dean Ambrose's shocking heel turn. Let me know what you thought. I am